Hey, so it is time to talk about Friday Night Smackdown. Now, I know I'm quite a bit late, but had some family time this weekend, so didn't have time to really get to this just yet. But we're going to talk about it. The night started out with Paul Heyman in the parking lot. He's holding the Universal Championship belt, and it appears as though he's waiting for a vehicle to pull up, presumably with Roman Reigns in it. And that will come into play throughout the night there. We then go to ringside where we're welcomed to Friday Night SmackDown. We got Pat McAfee and Michael Cole. We get Sasha Banks coming down to the ring. And Toni Storm is already in the ring. They are going to take on Charlotte Flair and Shotzi. This was a very good back and forth match. They gave them a lot of time, really. All of the women looked great. They really showcased their strengths. I don't know how I feel about Charlotte continuously trying these double moonsaults. We'll see where this continues to go, but I don't know if I'm really liking it. So Sasha Banks and Toni Storm end up picking up the win in this. This is really kind of huge momentum for Toni. They have not made anything official for day one, but I believe next week, or maybe even throughout this week, as we go into next week, they may yet make Toni Storm versus Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's title official for day one, but that's where I suspect this is going, but they might not. We will have to see. This match itself, though, was honestly kind of huge also, though, for both Shotzi and Toni. As far as for Toni Storm, she got to work in the ring alongside Sasha Banks as her partner. But she also got to work in the ring with Charlotte as, if you want to put it in a different way, kind of as a partner yet an opponent at the same time. It was huge for Shotzi to get to partner up with Charlotte, but also to work opposite Sasha. The thing is no matter what we want to say about Charlotte and Sasha, they are two veteran women in this business that, at the end of the day, have a lot to offer and a lot to teach new talent. So I feel like it's really helpful for Toni and Shotzi to get to work with these women and kind of get a good idea of how to kind of build their character and truly get the fans invested. So that's good on them that they get to do this. We then go backstage. It was a very short segment. It's got Kofi Kingston. He's alongside Xavier Woods. He's on a throne. He's got his crown and scepter, everything, and everybody's kind of celebrating Woods. And then the Usos came up and they trash talked for a bit. Tried to get you a little bit more invested in this match at day one. I'm already kind of invested. Here's the thing. The New Day and the Usos put on really super good matches. They really do. And no matter how many times we see it, they add something different each time. And they really make it must-see. Okay, so we then go to the Viking Raiders, taking on Jinder Mahal and Shanky. Here's my thing here. They have an opportunity here with Eric and Ivar. With this new raid chant that they've got going on, that could potentially really catch on. and I think it kind of is. So if WWE played their cards right, they could have such a huge tag team that could do absolutely amazing things. These guys could really be stars with this catchy song, this catchy entrance. But WWE needs to play their cards right with it. So both teams really had good points here. They really did. Ivar flew off the top rope. How a man like Ivar gets to the top rope, I don't know, but it was pretty amazing. I think it is good on WWE that they are leaving Shanky with Jinder. I'm seeing good things from Shanky, but I think it's good that they're letting him be with Jinder a little bit longer to kind of learn a little bit more from him. I don't know that he's necessarily as ready as Yeller really to go it on his own. So I think that's a good team to kind of leave there, as that is. End of the day, the Viking Raiders do end up picking up the win here, and that's good. I was a little bit worried that they were going to give that win to Jinder and Shanky, who, okay, Shanky's fairly new and he could probably use a win, but right now I feel like you're better off trying to build up the Viking Raiders, and you do that through wins, not necessarily through losses. So then we're going to go to a so they essentially recap the whole Drew McIntyre leaving his sword in Adam Pearce's desk when Adam Pearce told him that he could not take the sword out to the ring when he had his match last week. So then we just kind of go into how Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin took the whole desk because they didn't want to even try to take the sword out at the moment. So backstage, we're seeing them kind of still moving this desk around and kind of trying to put it in hiding so that no one can find it while they're going to be going out and doing their Happy Talk segment. We then switch to Paul Heyman once again. He still has the title, and an SUV does pull up, and you get that impression that he's expecting Roman Reigns. When he opens the door, instead we get Brock Lesnar. Brock kind of gives us the impression like he knows that he is expecting somebody else, and that's okay. He just kind of pats him on the back and heads off. So I personally like this version of Brock Lesnar much more so than I liked the previous ones. I could not really get behind them, and if they advertised that he was going to be on the show, I was just like, okay, great, he's gonna be in a match at the pay-per-view. Okay, great, he's gonna beat somebody up. I didn't feel like there was really charisma there. I didn't really get any character definition from him, and now I am getting that character definition from him. He is doing so much more of this stuff on his own, and when you allow him to, you find out that he really has a good talent for it. So at any rate, then we go back to the ring, and we're getting ready for Happy Talk. And they have the desk in the middle of the ring with them, and they try to get the sword out of the ring, or out of the desk, and that's not really working very well for him. Then we have Drew McIntyre coming on out. He didn't appear to have too many problems getting the sword out of the desk. So while Corbin and Moss are in the ring, they're discussing different things that this sword in the desk can be used for. And that's really not doing anything for Drew McIntyre. He's not really having that. Now, before Drew comes out, though, an interesting thing happens, and we don't know for sure whether this is intentional or not, or what, if this is what it really was. Now, keep in mind that the show was from Illinois, right? So it's from the Chicago area. I don't think it was in Chicago itself, but it is that hometown of CM Punk. And it sounded to me and others like we were getting a CM Punk chant. That's really what it sounded like. And that's not what you want to hear. That tells you that these happy talk segments are not doing their job, because that segment is supposed to be the focus. That is what the people are supposed to be focusing about. And when you have a chant for someone that isn't even part of the promotion, even if you are in that person's hometown, that tells you that what you're doing is not entertaining these people. This is not a case of getting heat on what is supposed to be heels in the ring. This is that heat that says, this is boring to us. We're not interested in this. So at that point, they're trying to get the sword out of this desk, and Drew comes out, and people really seem to appreciate that, because I think they understood that the segment was somewhat coming to an end, or at least moving into a more entertaining direction. So we did stop with the CM Punk chants there at that point. He threw them out of the ring and had no problem getting the sword out of this desk. That kind of ends that segment there. We then go to Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville backstage, and they are joined by Sami Zayn. And he said he just wanted to wish them happy holidays, and then he starts going on about the season of giving, and that he had this opportunity for this Universal Championship match essentially stolen from him, and that kind of thing, and wondered if he could maybe, how long it might be before he gets another opportunity. And so then Adam Pearce brings up to him about the Intercontinental Championship, and that was always important to him. And they then said that there was going to be a gauntlet match the next week, and the winner would receive a Intercontinental title opportunity. They do not necessarily say, I don't think, when that opportunity would take place, but it's going to be, I believe it was supposed to be, I almost thought they said a 12-man one, but I don't think that that's right, and I'm not seeing an exact number. At any rate, Sammy's not necessarily really thrilled with that, but he'll take what he can get, I guess. The other interesting piece with this segment is that Sammy he's not in a wheelchair, he did not have a neck brace on, and Adam Pearce and Sonya bring this up to him, and he made a comment about that his lawyer said that he didn't need to, and Sonya and Adam were like, your lawyers or your doctors? And of course Sammy's like, oh yeah, it must have been the doctors. So it lets you know that last week I don't think he really needed the wheelchair, the neck brace, and the nurses with him. And I think that got conveyed to Sonya and Adam too. So we'll see where that ends up leading us. And then we have a segment that I don't really know what to do with, honestly. We have Ridge Holland taking on Cesaro. Now, I understand that you want to build Ridge Holland up. And I feel like he can be a huge star. He's doing great things working alongside Sheamus. And he's also doing good things working opposite Cesaro. And both Sheamus and Cesaro have a lot of things that they can really teach Ridge Holland. And that's going to do great things for his character. He's going to learn a lot of things from them. And so the part that I don't know what to do with this is that I like Cesaro and I feel like he still has a lot to offer. And I guess maybe I just haven't accepted that he's at that point in his career where he's now set to really put people over and not necessarily chase championships, but to be those opponents to put them over and make them look better. At the end of the day, Ridge Holland did pick up the win, and it was a fairly short match. It really wasn't very long, and the main reason for that is that because, so the official didn't see it because Sheamus was kind of distracting him, but Ridge Holland was holding a billy club, and he hit Cesaro in the ribs with this, and they did check on him before, just to make sure he was still able to go through with the match, and he indicated that he was, and that was kind of the whole reason for the whole short match thing. But I don't know. I guess personally I would like to see Cesaro looking a little stronger. We'll see what ends up happening there, though. At the end of the day, it's great that Ridge is getting put over, and he really is going to do good things, and he has talent. So, excuse me. We then do have a very short segment backstage where Drew McIntyre is looking for Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss. But that was just kind of an amusing, somewhat entertaining little tidbit there. We then are going to get, so Naomi comes down to the ring, and she wants Sonya Deville to come down. And Sonya does, but she's in her suit. And what's already been established is that Sonya will not take on a match while she's in her suit. So Sonya does say, though, that she does have an opponent for her, and she's willing to give her a match. She then has Shayna Baszler come on down. And that's the match that we're at the end of the day going to get, is Naomi and Shayna again. Which, you know, it is not bad, and it's setting some things up potentially for Sonya and Naomi. We'll see where it does end up going. I would like to see an actual one-on-one match at potentially day one between Sonya and Naomi. but we'll see. So we're getting this match, and it looks as though Shayna's going to pull off this win, but not going to be the case. Naomi ends up with and I believe it was a roll-up for the win there. It was a fairly short match. Both women looked pretty strong, but the look that Naomi got from Sonya, she's walking back up the ramp, was very nasty. And I think we might get that match, and I would like to. So then we have Megan finds Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss as they're hiding. And they're in the dark, and she wants to talk to them, and she asks if they can turn on a light. And Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin are like, no, we're not turning on that light. They then use this segment to set up a match for day one, and I am almost hoping this ends up being a pre-show match, if I'm being honest. So it's going to end up being Madcap Moss taking on Drew McIntyre. I get the build-up to it. I do, because McIntyre's had this back and forth with Moss and Corbin, but I just don't know that it needs to be on the main card. But I guess that's being added to this pay-per-view. We're then going to get the New Day taking on the Usos. This goes back and forth. Again, both teams looking very good. Why we're really getting this, though, we're getting this at the pay-per-view, I don't know. I think it's to kind of move things along. At the end of the day, New Day does pick up the victory here. And then we go back to Paul Heyman. He still has the Universal Championship. And another car pulls up. We're getting toward the end of the show. And when he opens up the door, no one comes out. But you see the door on the other side open up. And that's the side that Roman Reigns gets out. He then essentially just tells Heyman, let's go to the ring. Or no. He wanted to go and talk. That's right. So we don't actually get to see the segment where they're talking. Okay? We don't actually get that. That's going to happen essentially during the commercial break, and that's fine. When we come back, though, we do find out that next week at the Christmas Eve episode, we're going to get Toni Storm and Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Oh, so that kind of answers that. No. We are probably not going to get Toni versus Charlotte necessarily at day one. Instead, we're going to get it next week, which is going to be a week before a week and a couple of days before the pay-per-view. So I'm wondering with this announcement if maybe something funky is going to happen, and that they do potentially maybe still get this second women's championship match at day one because of something funky that happens. But we'll see. I did not see the actual list of who is going to be competing. in the gauntlet match, but we are going to get a 12-man gauntlet match. And the winner will go on to face Shinsuke Nakamura. And presumably that will probably be at day 1. Back from that, we're going to go to the ring, and the Bloodline's going to come on now. Essentially just Roman, because we see the Usos still down there. So they must have kind of been down there somewhere at some point. But Roman comes on down with Paul Heyman. And they're in the ring. And this is where we get that segment where Roman is asking those tough questions of Paul. About did he know that Brock Lesnar was going to be there at SummerSlam? Did he know that Brock Lesnar was going to be at Madison Square Garden? Did he know that the suspension was going to be lifted? We then get, this was amusing. So we got another chant going on. And essentially it said, "You fucked up." And Roman is just like, "You're damn right, he fucked up." So he said, the important question, though, that I really want answered is, are you a special counsel or are you an advocate? At the end of the day, Roman Reigns hugs him and says that he loves him. Thank you for 40 years of service to his family. Okay, so this part I did not quite get, because I don't know that I have seen, and maybe someone in comments later can clue me in here on this, as to whether or not anyone else in that family has been a Paul Heyman guy, because I don't think The Rock was. But I don't know about Rikishi or the Wild Samoans. I might look that up here later and see, to kind of get an idea what he's talking about, this 40 years of service. Because as far as with Roman, he's only been with him for a year. A little bit over that. But he then tells him that he's fired. And he then hits him with a Superman punch. As he's about to hit him between two steel chairs, Brock Lesnar comes out and makes a save. At this point, Lesnar just slowly walks out, and I don't know if Heyman had already walked out or not, but he made the save. He laid out all three of members of the Bloodline there, and that's kind of where that ends. You hear a lot of Suplex City, and that's kind of that. We end that show with the Bloodline laid out by Brock Lesnar and him making that save for Paul Heyman. And now with Paul Heyman officially fired from the Bloodline, I'm kind of intrigued where exactly this ends up going. And what I really hope here, guys, though, is that we don't see a return to the old Brock Lesnar. Because like I said, I really like this new side of him. So hopefully they will let him keep at least most of that. So we will talk to you tomorrow with Monday Night Raw, which is happening tonight. I will be watching, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. But that is Friday Night Smackdown.